Welcome to the Mom Owned and Operated Podcast, the podcast about moms and for moms, where we have candid conversations about running a business, raising a family, and remembering ourselves. I'm your host, Rita Suzanne, a single mom of four, digital strategist, and provider of no-nonsense business strategies and tactics. Hi, this is Rita Suzanne, and today I have my guest Hannah with me. Hannah, I'm so excited to have you on today. Can you tell us all about you, your family, and your business?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Hannah Morgan, and I am the CEO and founder of the first ever virtual house management service. So we work with primarily working parents to relieve their mental load by doing project management for your life. So as opposed to a personal assistant, we do all of the planning, coordinating, managing, anticipating, and making sure that projects for your life, your family, and your home are completed successfully. So I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I've got two kids. I'm having my third on Monday. And we've lived here about 2 years and really love it.
Wow. I can't even believe that you're talking to me now and you're getting ready to have a baby. That's crazy. Right before I had my kids, I was laying in bed, probably eating Cheetos or something.
Well, I have a lot of things going on right now. And so I wish that was a luxury, but I'm looking forward to leave. But yeah, I just launched this business in September 2023, and the growth has just skyrocketed. It's like really taken off, and it's really hit at a core for a lot of our clients. And so I'm happy to be as busy as we have been. It's been really wonderful.
I love that. So tell us exactly, how does your business work?
Yeah. So we work with, like I said, working parents. So I would say a majority of our clients are female, but what we find is it's also couples. And we do have a number of male clients who come to us and say, I feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed. I feel like I have too many things going on. Balls are getting dropped. I would rather spend time with my family than be organizing all of these menial projects and tasks. My partner travels. I, have a new project coming on at work that is making, for more attention being dedicated to that. Can you help? And the answer is always yes. And what I love is that our clients come to us thinking that there's no solution to this problem of constantly feeling stressed out and feeling like you're being pulled in a million directions. And we have solutions for that. And so we work with you to extract your to-do list from your brain, or as I like to call it, for many of us, it's like that dark rain cloud that's following you around, the cartoon rain cloud. It's the things that not just are on your to-do list, but the things that haven't made it to your to-do list yet, because you're kind of too scared to write them down, or it just feels like opening a can of worms. So like a great example is a lot of people procrastinate signing up for summer camps because it's so much work to research and coordinate and sign up and pay. And then you've got 1 week of this and one kid in that, and who's going to take the kids and calendar management. So we say, great, let's talk about your kids' ages, their interests, how far you're willing to drive, what your budget is, and we'll put together a proposal for a summer of summer camps for you. You let us know how you feel, and we'll make tweaks, and then we'll sign you up and send you on your merry way. So the idea is that we want our clients to be as involved as they want in the process of managing these projects. So some clients are like, just deal with it, let me know when it's done. And other clients, they want to be involved every step of the way. They have a very specific vision. They want to improve everything. And that's great too. So we work to meet our clients where they're at and really help them feel like their needs are being met. And so it's not extra work for them to work with us. It's relieving their work. So that was one of the reasons I started the business, is because as a busy working parent, I found that the time it would take to delegate tasks felt so burdensome that I was reluctant to employ a service that felt like it was going to take so much upfront investment to be able to engage with. And so instead, what I really wanted somebody to do was crawl in my brain, duplicate it, and then do it better than I ever could have. So it's not just about replacing yourself, and it's about finding somebody who's better at these things than you are. And that's great. You can let them do it, and you can focus on what you're better at doing, which is being a parent, excelling at work, having free time, investing in your hobbies, pursuing your passions. Those are hard things to do when you're a working parent.
Yeah, I think that anytime, especially like as an entrepreneur, whenever it comes to someone hiring someone to help them, right? I find a lot of my clients, they're hesitant, right? Because they know that for them, the hard part is going to be the upfront work part. It's going to be such a labor intensive journey for them, because they're going to have to train that person. They're going to have to take the time out to teach them how they want the things done. And then what if they don't do it right? And then they don't even want to hire somebody because of all of that work that they have to put in order to hire someone out. So I think that that's great. And I think that's example of, what someone wants when they actually hire someone to help them. They just want you to come in and, do the thing and just be really good at it.
Exactly.
And oftentimes when you hire someone like assistants and people, to do those tasks, sometimes they're not that great at it. Right.
Right. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have an amazing team. All of our house managers are trained. But one of the things that we look for when we're growing our team is I always ask my house managers, what's your specialty? Like, what's the thing that I would come to you for expertise on? And so when we have a client who has a need that's maybe a little bit out of the box, we can actually, you get assigned your own house manager so that you have that real concierge service and you have that relationship, that trust, that connection. They know how you like to communicate. They remember how old your kids are. Like, they know all the things about you. And when sometimes you have a special need, like an example would be like consolidating your retirement accounts, setting up your will and trust, like things like that. We have people on our team who are experts in those specific items. So like meal planning, travel planning. So we might involve another house manager for whom that is their specialty. And we'll say, hey, you're still going to work with your primary house manager, but we're going to bring in an expert to help you plan your vacation to Europe this summer. And that way, you're going to be in the best hands at all times.
Yeah, but then you have that main person who's familiar with you
Right.
and your family the most. And I think that's brilliant. I love this concept. What made you decide to do something like this?
Yeah, well, so I'm a project manager. That's my identity, that's my career. And I've run a contract project management agency since 2021. And so we work with small and medium-sized businesses that are in growth phases that don't have the funds or the need for a full-time project manager. And so what I found was there's a huge need for fractional support. We have a really high quality project manager popping in, 10, 20, 40 hours a month that's able to help you accelerate your business, manage your clients, and allow you to focus on growing your business instead of the day-to-day of running it. That expanded. And so we also offer virtual assistants and operations management. And what I found was there was this huge demand for it on the business side. And I realized when you apply the same principle to the personal side, the demand is even greater. And so I'm a project manager. My husband is an operations manager. We're really good at systems. We're really good at building strong foundations. So when we had kids, we had a system for everything, and we, ran everything through Asana, our project management software, and have good communication. And then we just realized that's not how we want to spend our time. Our children are young, and the last thing you want to do after you pick them up from school or you finish work or put them to bed is tackle these huge projects that, frankly, are not always that rewarding. I'd rather have somebody else do it for me and somebody who enjoys it more than I do.
Yeah. And so then you thought, well, this is a great way to monetize something that other people probably feel the same way about.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I felt like it was really a service. It was a service that I wanted, and it was a service that I wanted to share with others. And so I started having conversations with people outside of just my immediate group of moms. And, I went to the internet and I talked to about 100 people and I said, what do you think? This is my idea, born out of my own experience. And I got tons of feedback that was so helpful. So on our
Mhm.
website, we have a list of like suggested ideas of tasks. And there's probably 50 things listed there, but we accept all kinds of out of the box tasks and projects and tasks all the time. But that list came from talking with those 100 people and asking them how you would utilize a service like this. And what I found was there was a lot of negative feedback about, some of the more mainstream, like personal assistant services that were out there because they weren't really hitting at this need of relieving mental load. And then the other thing that I think makes us different and sets us apart is that we don't explicitly serve working moms because that implies that the mental load is inherently the responsibility of a female partner in a heterosexual relationship, which is a totally outdated and just totally unrealistic expectation, right? So if we're going to rise above that and we're going to use a feminist narrative to do that, then we need to make these conversations more gender neutral. The reality is many of our clients, like I said at the beginning, are female, and that's the experience that they're having, that they're taking on more mental load. But we often engage their partners. We often work with the non-female partner in a relationship. And we also provide business support. So sometimes we'll have a couple that will come to us and say, we need support at home with X, Y, and Z, but we also need help running our business or our side business or whatever. So we're very flexible. And that's with a very specific intent of not locking ourselves into this narrative that running the home, carrying the mental load, doing the cognitive labor, managing the tasks, making sure the kids get picked up from soccer is a woman's duty, because it's 2024 and it's just not.
Right. Right. But you have to know who your target audience is, and that's who you speak to primarily, but knowing that that's not who's doing all of the work or who
Yeah.
should be doing it, right?
Yeah. And I love it when we have male clients. It's so rewarding. Like my husband went out for drinks last night with two friends, and it was like a friend and a friend of a friend. And the friend of a friend was so excited about this service, not because he wanted it for his wife, but because he wanted it for his family. And I was like, yes, this is exactly it. It's all partners being equally involved in the
Yeah.
well-being of their family. And sometimes that means that one partner is like the primary parent, or they're the primary logistics coordinator, they're the primary project manager of their home, like whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, it's your house too, they're your kids too. Everybody's responsible for the success of your family.
Yes. And I think that, more partners need to be celebrated as well. And, not everybody has a partner that's involved, but
Yeah.
a lot of people do. And so,
Yeah.
and who want to be involved. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're not allowed to be involved. So let's move on a little bit. So
Yeah.
how old are your children that are already here?
Yeah. So my oldest just turned 4, and my current youngest is 2.5.
Oh my goodness. So you definitely have your hands full.
Yeah,
So
we're
you
full toddler era.
so you work at home and you
Yep.
have this business and you have your children at the same time. So how are you able to juggle all of these things at one time? I don't necessarily subscribe to a balance or anything like that, but what are you doing?
Yeah, well, I prioritize having high quality daycare and childcare for my children. And so that was actually a huge lift when we moved to Florida, like I said, 2 years ago. One of the reasons we moved here is because we got a spot at a well-respected Montessori program. And we really wanted to put our kids in Montessori from a young age, and we wanted to send them to a fantastic school. The process of getting your kids on the wait list and then off the wait list at a school that's at all competitive, which is basically every daycare in America these days because of the childcare shortage, it's functionally impossible. I mean, it's like a part-time job. So when we were coordinating our move down here, it was before I had started the business. I had a Gantt chart, which if you're a project manager is, a familiar tool, but if you're not, it's where you basically lay out like all of the projects, tasks, milestones over the course of, for me, it was the 5 months leading up to our move. And so it's like, I need to purge, I need to sell my car, I need to get my kids on the wait list. And then what I found was I was getting my kids on these wait lists, and I had to call every day, every week, like email them every month. Like I had to have consistent communication to get them off the wait list. So we got down here, we got them into a great school. That's been a huge part of our success, is being able to have, full faith in our childcare. But now what we're headed into is the next era, the elementary school era. And that's where we're starting the process all over again. So I have a spreadsheet. I have about 30 schools I'm looking at. My house manager has been instrumental in helping me identify schools that meet my requests, my requirements, helping schedule the tours, figuring out tuition, like what we can afford, what makes sense, how far it is from my house, like all those things. It's a ton of work. And if you're familiar with Emily Oster, the author, she wrote this book called The Family Firm. She's known for her first book, which is about pregnancy. It's called Crib Sheets. It's called Expecting Better. And then the one when the kids are born is called Crib Sheets. She came out with a book called The Family Firm. And it's basically run your family like a business, make decisions that are based on the mission statement of your family and ascribe to that mission statement. And ask yourself, is signing my kid up for elite hockey going to meet my goal of us having a cohesive family as facilitated by family dinners? Well, okay, maybe we can have family dinners a few nights fewer a week or whatever. So that's her whole concept. And I really applied that to coordinating like all the aspects in my life in balance with being present for my children. So the end result is, when I'm at home, I'm working, I'm fully focused. And then when I stand up from my desk and I go pick up my kids, I'm fully present with them. And so I have really strong boundaries. But we're parents and things get messy. Kids get school gets canceled. So one of the things I do at the beginning of the school year is I have my house manager take all the school dates and put them on my calendar for me and my husband. So I know every day we don't have school. I know every day there's an early pickup. I know every day there's a holiday that I have to whatever, get my kids dressed up for, bring something in for the teachers or like whatever it may be. And that has been so huge because when I do my weekly planning, I know where I have gaps in childcare and where I need to reprioritize things.
Love that. I love that. So that's just part of having the house manager. They come in and they do these type of things for you. So what are some other examples of things that they do? Because for someone like me who has a house full of teenagers, what
Yeah.
tasks that they would do?
Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
So when we start a relationship with our client, usually they come to us with a vision of what they need help with or a very specific task. And we have an onboarding call with them. And what comes out of that is more of kind of the bigger picture. And that's facilitated by questions we ask. So I would ask you, what are the places of stress in your life right now that we can help alleviate? What do your weekends look like? And how do you
Mm.
want to change that? Are you doing laundry all weekend? Are you spending
No,
time with your kids?
no,
You're
my
not?
kids, they do their own laundry.
I love this. I love this. So that would be a question that you don't have to answer right now, but those would be things that I would ask my clients is, what are the things that are coming down the pike that we need to be thinking about that are causing you stress? Teenagers, we're going to be thinking about college. We're going to be thinking about summer jobs. We're going to be thinking about FAFSA applications for financial aid. We're going to be thinking about, buying a used car for them to drive and, getting their car insurance, getting a competitive rate on car insurance, because, that goes through the roof when you have teenage drivers. All those kinds of things we're going to be thinking
So it's
about.
really about thinking more ahead and being more proactive about things
Yeah.
instead of being reactive, because those are things that are relevant, but not things that I'm actively
Yep.
doing.
Exactly. But I'm sure for you, how old are your children now?
13 through 16.
So what's on their radar right now?
Just playing and hanging out with their friends.
Yeah. Do they do
Yeah.
after school sports? They have activities,
Um,
extracurriculars?
I have one in track, and then I have one who has a job. So
Oh,
yes, I have.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So coordinating logistics with that and, other people that are involved in their life, making sure that they can be where they need to be and when, and the support that they have. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to air your personal needs
no.
on this, but those would all be questions. Those would be questions that I would ask and that we would try to pull
Yeah.
out from your
No,
brain.
I love that, because then you, like I said, you're just being more proactive about the needs, because so my 16-year-old, she does have a job, but she doesn't have a driver's license, and she hasn't even taken driver's ed yet because she's made some choices that I don't feel like she's ready for
Okay.
driver's ed yet. However, would I be okay with like looking at some of the things and kind of getting her excited and motivated? Yes, I probably would. So, you know what I mean? So those are some
Yeah.
things that I would probably, if I had somebody else doing the
Yeah.
research for me, I would be like, yeah, so we did this and this is what we found. And maybe that would maybe motivate some better decision making.
There you go. Absolutely. For sure. For sure. Yeah, I
I
mean, a
love,
couple other things that come to mind is like, getting on the list for the driver's ed when she is ready,
yeah.
researching what the safest cars are within your budget,
Mhm.
thinking about what those incentives might be for her once she can drive, like what kind of activities you might allow her to participate in because she can drive independently.
Right.
What is she doing with the money that she's making from her job? Are you setting her up to be saving X amount? Maybe something like a match where she puts half in an account, a high yield savings account to save for a car, and you match that. Like those are all the kinds of things we'd be, looking at, thinking about. And then, if you have a kid who's making decisions that you don't totally agree with, maybe you'd want to change your will. And so you'd want to make sure that you have somebody in place who's your executor, who's going to be the guardian of your children or executor of your estate that's aware of the dynamic that you trust to be able to navigate this and maybe like not give them the money that they would inherit at the age of 16, but put parameters in place. So those are all kind of things that we would be thinking about.
Yeah, I love all of that, because it is, especially as a single parent, you get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff, and as a business owner in running a business,
Yeah.
that those are things that I guess often slip through the cracks, right? Because you're just trying to survive and
Yeah.
run everything else and just do all of the things that you need to do in addition to taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So having someone else just kind of do that extra thinking for you, I love the idea and the concept of it, because it's just having someone support you where you didn't really realize that you needed that support.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
My girlfriends like to say, I do not say this, but my girlfriends like to say every wife needs a wife. Every
Hmm.
mom needs a wife. And I love that. And we don't advertise that because obviously it plays into the, concept of women carrying the mental load. But I think
Right.
it's really funny that like there is this concept of like somebody needs to do this. And especially if you're a single parent, like there's not a lot of places you can point the finger other than back at yourself. So someone's got to do it.
Yes, I know. And, of course, as women, it's like we are just constantly I think it's because we're worrying so much about everything and what's going on. And it's just our nature to be overly prepared often, not
Yeah.
always. And so I don't want to, stereotype or anything like that. But
Yeah.
typically, we're just overly worried and concerned about all of the things. And so we're just trying to over prepare. So, one of the things that I love to talk about, and and is what stemmed this podcast, is self-care, and
Yeah.
you getting ready to have your third baby and all of the things, being super busy and having all of the children and things at one time. I just don't understand how you're able to do it all. And so I have to ask you, what are you doing to like take care of yourself? What are you doing for you?
I mean, self-care doesn't always look like bubble baths. You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
I 100% don't. Listen, I have prescribed self-care as sometimes just going to the bathroom by yourself.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have toddlers, so that's not an option. Yeah. um, yeah. I mean, I think like in historically speaking, I would say like carving out time for myself, doing things like working out, like my husband and I are vegan, eating well. But the reality of right now in this late stage pregnancy is that like we're more in survival mode. So I would say from a professional perspective, running my business is a form of self-care because it gives me the sense of fulfillment that I really wanted out of my professional life. And it gives me that sense of drive. I don't have a lot of space and time that I've dedicated to hobbies because any free time that I have goes into my business. But what it's done is it's given me this outlet that I could have never experienced in a more traditional job. Like, for instance, I get to make all the mistakes by trial and error, and that's been really fun. I built all my own accounting systems before bringing in a bookkeeper. I manage all my own social media. So I had to learn like graphic design and how to use all the different social media platforms. Those things I really find rewarding. I had to figure out how to build my websites. And then somebody came to me and said, "We love your website. Will you build mine?" And someone else said, "Will you build mine?" And now all of a sudden I'm building websites. So I like those things and I like those challenges. And I think that really feeds me. It feeds my brain and it feeds my core. So, a couple things that I would say like are on my radar. I read 26 nonfiction, self-improvement or business books last year. I made the goal of walking 10,000 steps, which was more reasonable when I was less pregnant. Carving out time, like my dog walk in the morning is my reading and walking time. I really appreciate that and enjoy it. And then also like I've learned a lot from other people, like connecting with other people. So through professional networks and personal networks and social media, I found that to be really rewarding just by kind of understanding other people's lived experience and how it helps them be a better parent, a better partner, a better business owner, whatever it may be. So I think those are all forms of self-care. It's not bubble baths.
Oh, I agree. And you're similar to me with the thinking process. Everybody always would tell me, because I am a described workaholic, right? But I get so much fulfillment out of what I do. I
Yeah.
love what I do. And I think it's because I feel like I'm helping other people and I feel like I'm empowering other women, especially, that it makes me feel good in order to do the things that I do. And so, for me, it is my hobby, quote unquote, right? It's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I do with all of my spare time. And so I don't apologize for working in my spare time. Like that's what I do. I work out. I do all these other things. Like you said, I love to read. I love to walk. I love to go to the gym. I love to do all of these things. But if I have a moment at home, I'm working,
Yeah.
I don't really watch a lot of TV. I'm working. It's just because that's what feeds me and I
Yeah.
enjoy it. And,
Yeah.
and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of times people do like to villainize it and say that there is something wrong with, like, why are you working so much? Because I like it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I can definitely identify with some of that, like feeling like a workaholic, but also like, especially when my kids are so young, I have to have really, really strict boundaries, so it's rare I work more than 36 hours a week. I have pretty strict boundaries. It's rare I work after bedtime. Sometimes I do, but I try to spend that time for me. That's my reading time. That's my podcast time. That's my hangout time with my husband. Like that's my anything that's just me time. And I'm okay with that. I have ideas of hobbies. I think they would be really fun to invest in, but I've also recognized that like my children are at a place where like they demand and deserve my full attention when they're home. And because they're in school and I work, almost full time, I can appreciate the time that I have with them so much more. And so I go and pick up my kids and we do whatever we want, until bedtime. And like, I love that. That's great.
Well, I think like, just to clarify, I will say like the benefit of what we do is that we have so much freedom. And so while I can get up and start working immediately if I wanted to, I don't. I'm I wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, but I probably don't turn on my computer until 11, right?
Yeah.
I'm a slow riser. I ease into the morning, and, and that's okay. And I think that that's fine. And I don't think, even though I'm a self-described workaholic, that doesn't mean that I'm getting up from crack of dawn and working until midnight. It just means that when I have the space and I have the mental space and energy, I like to dedicate that to working. And I think that that's fine. It's same with you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything else about it. I'm just
no, good for you. That's awesome.
Okay, so where can everyone find you online? Because I am absolutely positive that there are other women, moms who definitely want and need this service as well.
Yeah, so we're on social media, and our website is Heron House Management. So it's Heron like the bird, Heron, housemanagement.com. That's our handle on Facebook and on Instagram. And so you can connect with us there. We have a contact us form on our website, or you can email me directly, hannah@heronhousemanagement.com. And I would love any feedback, or if anybody has any questions, check out our website, see what we're about, and be happy to chat more.
Thank you so much for being a guest. It's been so amazing chatting with you.
Thanks for having me. This is a treat. I appreciate it.
And there you have it. I want to encourage you to remember that being a mom who runs her own business is not easy. We all struggle, but just keep moving forward and don't forget to make time for yourself. As moms, we are usually the first thing to go to the bottom of the list. If your business is overwhelming you and you need real solutions, not just some sugar-coated suggestions, apply to work with me at ritasuzanne.com/apply.